Hey guys, so I'm told that the ban list dropped, and so that's pretty surprising. I mean, I did do an emergency ban list prediction survey a couple weeks ago, so I guess I wasn't actually that far off. I didn't think it would actually happen, but yeah, I mean, I was really surprised to hear it, so I thought we could just go through this list together and see how it is. I did already see a couple of cards based on my feed, but let's just go through it together and just sort of have a discussion on how this format might look. So I guess it's going to come into effect December 1st. It's a couple weeks from now, so basically the next YCS, which I believe is next weekend at the time of recording, Costa Rica maybe. I think there's two, so I guess I'll still play with the current list. So because it's a quote-unquote emergency list, as in it came out very soon, probably not a lot of stuff. And so this one I did see earlier. Curious. This is so strange because if it had come out in the last ban list, it would have made sense. And even then, we realized that people just stopped, the tiers at least, they stopped using Curious anyways with that line of play, especially now with the Shizu variant being much more, powerful. And so I don't know what the lag is at Konami. I mean, I guess this is maybe just more future proofing. I mean, there's always going to be powerful cards they can just dump to the graveyard and get it back with Griffin. So I guess they decided to ban Curious rather than the Griffin, which probably makes sense at this point because Curious is really, really strong in the right kind of decks, but not right now. So this makes no sense. No other bans again. I don't expect to. Mystic Mine ban. I think most people will rejoice at this, including myself, because I really wanted this card ban. I'm sure a lot of you as well. It does steal a lot of games. Some people argue it's just a necessary evil, but it's just not fun gameplay, especially when it comes to like actual Mystic Mind focus strategies. That just gets crazy. And so this came out in like April 2019, I believe, Dark Neostorm, and at that point Sky Striker was tier 1, and then all of a sudden they realized they can utilize Mystic Mind really, really well. So it wasn't really fair that a tier 1 deck was using this card as well, and that just got silly. And we've seen in the previous few premier events where Mystic Mind burned even 1-1, and another instance where it was just like a key card and taking the win. So I'm glad it's finally put to rest. I do not think it will ever come back actually at this point. So that's it for the ban, just 2 cards. I think usually they hit about 4 cards on the forbidden section, so again, I didn't expect a big list, and so yeah, I guess that's it. It's probably not going to be too surprising. So Herald of Orange Light being limited, that's a strange one. So this really sucks for me because I actually opened 50 OTS packs yesterday as part of a product opening video that I'll post tomorrow, and so I opened like 3 playsets of Orange, which at the time that I opened it was about $30 for a playset in Canadian dollars, and so that's just completely out the window now, just worthless. I was actually commenting in that video that I wasn't sure if I wasn't even going to play Oranges anymore because, it's just dead a lot of times because you need to have another fairy with it. Or the Orange is nice that it's a tuner though, because it does allow for Barone plays when you don't have access to Diviner, but even that doesn't come up that much, like Barone in general. And so I think, and if you saw the list that won the YCS, he was actually siding the Orange, and I think it's just, yeah, it really doesn't hit tiers that much at all. I think people were probably considering not playing it anyways. So I guess that's it for limited, unless we have some power spells coming. Nope, still the same. Wow, okay, that's pretty disappointing. Okay, so semi-limited section, we have Mali. That's just, I don't think we'll change again. I mean, you never know. It just keeps flipping back and forth. We have Lyrilisk Recital Styling going back to 2. So this was originally put to 1 when Trabagate Lyrilisk was tier 1 for actually a pretty brief time. It didn't last very long. And so it was pretty wild when they had like 2 going and you could just keep doing it. But yeah, I mean, I think Trabagate has been so power crept at this point, and it's just a very fair deck. Even when it was tier 1, it was a very fair deck. It was never really that oppressive, and so I think they're probably giving them stuff to play with. I'm not sure if this also goes along with Sprite. I don't know if the restrictions ever do have an effect on this deck. Pot of Desire still 2. I thought this would actually come back to 3. I also thought Pot of Prosperity would get put to 2 sooner than later, but still has not. I think if Pot of Desires is put at 2, then Prosperity will definitely be put to at least 2 at some point. Oh, okay, so we actually have a few releases. So Tellarknight, this one, I think this is like the turn skip one. I never played during this time, so I don't actually know. So let me know in the comments how toxic this was. I can only imagine, but I'm not sure. Maybe it's just not as easy to pull off in today's game. Who knows? Maybe that's why they decided to bring it back. But It's whatever. My friend told me about this one. Dimensional Fissure being put to 3. That is pretty interesting. So for Ishizu tiers, this card is really tough when this, and you can't get rid of it. I mean, this monster's being banished instead of being sent to grave. That just destroys the tier limit strategy, right? And so it's interesting that the way Konami's looking at it is not to hit the tiers directly, but they just, you know what, just play more Floodgates, we'll give them to you, just have more anti-tier limit strategy going on. And so that's a very Konami thing to do. It's not very surprising, but I'm sure a lot of the anti-meta folks are rejoicing about the unlimited of Dimensional Fissure. We do have the Tenki as well, I guess more Tri-Brigade support just coming back. It was put to 1 initially, they put it to 2, and then now it's kind of back to 3. I think this was kind of predictable, and whenever some Konami puts things to 2, eventually it does come back to 3 in the next list. So, and speaking of Floodgates, we also have Macrocosmos coming back to 3. So now you have 3 Fissure, 3 Macrocosmos in your main 6 card. That's a pretty good chance of opening it. And so for a deck like, let's say, like Flunder, they were probably really happy. They did not... Actually, I just realized they didn't hit anything for Flunder at any point. You know, like Wind Barrier at least would have been nice. But I guess they just buff up Flunder and try to indirectly hit tiers this way. So Macrocosmos, Dimensional Fissures, both very, very strong cards. I'm curious whether Ishizu tiers will try to main deck more background removal now. I mean, Heartbeat is very good. So I mean, I was main decking 1, but maybe I have to do 3 now. I'm not sure. So that's interesting take. Not sure if I'm looking forward to it, because the problem is, so Ishizu tiers being so dominant makes most rogue decks like very hard to play, right? And I'm talking about rogue decks that are not, you know, anti-tier focus, as in they can play around with banishing their own cards, for example, and play Shifter. But a lot of rogue decks just can't do that, so they get indirectly hit where, you know, Dimension Shifter and all these anti-meta strategies just craps on them, and then they also can't combat against Ishizu tier limit. So now you have to deal with Dimensional Fissure and Macrocosmos. That gets pretty hard. Metaverse coming back, so that's kind of cool, I guess, now that mine is banned. So originally this was put to 1, I believe, the very first list after Mystic Mine was released, because, and people just scoffed at it because, of course, Konami thing to do, they don't hit Mystic Mine directly, they put Metaverse to 1, you know, whoop-de-doo. But I think now this can come back to 3, it should be okay, you know, like, there are lots of powerful field spells, especially for rogue decks. I mean, like, think about, like, Lair of Darkness, right, and Metaverse, like, it's insane. So, very strong card, so... yeah, I think that's it. So I guess that's it for the list. Again, pretty small hits, not too surprising. Let me know in the comments what you think of this list. And you know what's funny? I'm not sure if I like this because, for example, now that it's come out, maybe they don't put another list for like another like 3 months, right? This is coming into effect in December. Maybe they don't have another one that doesn't come into effect until like March or something. But maybe it would have just been better, you know, we just deal with this format, and like, let's say in January they just provided us with a bigger list where they actually hit tiers directly and some other decks as well, rather than this, you know, meh subpar list and slapping it. So yeah, curious to hear what you guys think and what you think of the ban list, and yeah, looking forward to your discussion. So take care everyone, thanks for watching.